Now, the first thing we want to do after we've done our first activity or our first action is to save our work. So let's choose Save As and call it Activity 4B. I may already have one, so I'm going to replace mine, but you shouldn't have one already. And what we want to do first is we want to lock the bottom layer so that no matter what happens to it, that we don't touch it anymore. And so that's these lock buttons up here. So you can see in the default mode, there's nothing on, but I go to this layer and I click the paintbrush, and that means that nothing that I do will happen to that layer. So for instance, now that that layer is locked, the other layer is not. You can see the paintbrush is not pushed in, but this layer, the paintbrush is pushed in. I'm going to choose a paintbrush. I'll leave it at black. And you can see I've got the no sign beside my mouse cursor. And so I can click and drag here and nothing happens. Meanwhile, if I go back to the amber layer and click and drag, you can see that it works. And now I need to undo that. Either Edit Undo or Control Z. So now that my we'll call them parents, because I'm assuming that that's our parents, but one never knows. Now that the parent layer is locked, we can make it invisible, and we can focus in on the amber layer. So I'm just going to change the zoom here and move around a little bit. And I'm going to start out just working in the bottom corner. When I work in the bottom corner, make sure that you're on the right layer for the work that you're going to do. I'm going to start out with the Lasso Tool. Now, some of you may choose to start out with the Eraser Tool, but I strongly suggest you just start out with the Lasso Tool, because usually I find my students can actually go faster with the Lasso Tool and then do any fine adjustments with the Eraser Tool. So once I've got this little bit of grass finished off here, I'm just going to click around the area, click back where I start from, make sure before I do that all my circles are right. That looks good. Click back where I start from. I now have a selection area. Press delete on my keyboard and that area is gone. Now if you choose, you can do a larger selection area, but I highly recommend that you just do small areas. I'm just going to do a little visible area that I can see here while I'm talking to you. So I'll just start here and go around. Now you can choose the Eraser Tool to do this. The problem that most of my students have is that they become really aggressive with their erasing. They erase over top of something and don't notice it. And so they come back 10 or 20 steps later and they say, oh, Mr. Rich, look what I've done. And at that point, we have to do a fair bit of meddling around in order to bring it back, to something that's going to look all right. So I'm just going to go around her hand right now using the lasso. And again, all I want to do is just get so it looks okay. And then once I get all that area out, I'm just going to press. I'll just go around, just do this a little bit and say delete. And then you can see I missed a little spot here. I still have some more work to do around here. So I can just pull out an eraser. You'll notice if I try to erase here, nothing happens. That's because of my selection is still active. So I need to say select none. And then if I erase, oh dear, that's not right. Control Z or Edit Undo. I need a much smaller brush. So I'm going to set that to be about 5 and enter. Now I can zoom in using my plus sign or minus sign. Oh, maybe I need to hit enter first. There we go. There we go. I can zoom in. Now I can just kind of touch up with the eraser a little bit right around the edge. The other thing that we've also learned before was how to blur around the edge using the water drop. And again, if I want to blur it, it's just a little blur. It's not very much. And I certainly don't want to lose all the definition. You can see if I blur the fingernail too much, then it stops being a fingernail and just looks like skin. So I definitely don't want to do that. We'll undo that back. And then I can just come along the edge here. Maybe 1 or 2 strokes is all I need just to blur some of the pixels. So go ahead, do that all the way around Amber. And then that way when you zoom back out, it will look like she was standing in front of a green screen and we just erase the green screen and there's nothing there. So keep going around Amber, and then we'll worry about the next part in the next video.